Alright, so we shall get started, right? This webinar, as I told you, like it may take more than just 45 minutes. So you may need to stay like 15 or 20 minutes longer. But this will give you an overview beyond just the FRM exam. So I think that this will be helpful in putting things together from a more broader perspective than just the exam itself, right? So before we start and the webinar and start jumping into the intricacies of the exam itself or related concepts, just want to ask a simple fundamental question, right? Like, why do you want to do FRM? I think there's a classification in the audience itself. Like one, people who are aware of the exam, who know that it adds a certain amount of value to their profile and it will help them grow in their career, right? And second is the class where, like, you are in the exploratory phase. You are looking at FRM, CFA, CQF, maybe a lot of other programs like master's program and all. And for you, this session would just be like, putting things in perspective, that what the exam is all about and whether this is the right stage, whether this is the right time for you to start learning about FRM or not and take up the exam, obviously. So in the chat itself, just let me know, are you clear that you want to do FRM or are you still in the exploratory phase? Just drop your messages in the chats. I will be looking at it from a different window. Okay, are clear? Exploratory phase, great. Uh, Kai, Kaitumitse. Hi, Kaitumitse. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name right, but we would be covering both part one and part two, and in general, the broader aspects of FRM. I'm clear with my goals. That's great. Wanted to do FRM. Clear. Akash, I know I've been working with you. Srinidhi, exploratory phase. Good. Okay, great. So now that we are clear about the fact that there are people who are determined that they need to do FRM, maybe right away or very near future. So we'll start with this overview. Right? So before we start into FRM, let me just give you a brief introduction about myself. Some of you might know about me. I've interacted with quite a few of you. So to begin with, my name is Prateek. I'm the founder of Risk Hub. Before starting Risk Hub, I worked for almost 10 years within across three corporate firms. So I come from an engineering background. I did my uh, bachelor's and master's degree from IIT Kanpur in electrical engineering. And my first job was with JP Morgan as a quant analyst. After that, my work has been primarily related into risk management. My second job was with EY, and my third job was with PwC, which was my last job as well. So with PwC, I worked for almost 5 years, right? And my primary work with EY and PwC was focused around the core quant models in the risk management domain, right? So market risk and counterparty credit risk were my core domains. But if people from consulting are here, they may know very well that whenever you're working in such a setup, so your work, like especially in the growth stage, the early stage, it is cross-functional, and you get a chance to work on other projects as well, such as derivatives valuation, maybe tools automation, and some other related risk domains like credit risk. And similarly, it was the pathway for me as well. By the way, is my voice clear, loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All very perfect, sir.
Okay, perfect. So, and yeah, about certification, so I hold CQF and I have myself cleared FRM. So, whenever I am saying something, most of it is coming from the experience that I have gained, both during the preparation of the exam and in applying those concepts in the actual work itself, right? And I have also done World Quant MSc FE if some of you are aware about it, that's also a very good program to complete if you are coming from a background where you have not seen a lot of financial engineering. Okay, so what are we going to cover today in this session? So we are going to look at what is FRM exam essentially. We're going to understand it. What is the structure of the exam, right? And most importantly, career growth with FRM, right? So this is I would say very important, career growth with FRM. Because see, let's not lie to ourselves that we do FRM to gain a lot of knowledge. The eventual purpose is to grow in the career, right? Because it essentially demands almost 700 to 1000 hours based on where you stand in your career, and demands a certain cost in terms of money as well. So you have to sacrifice made a lot you have to make a lot of sacrifices as well, right? I mean, those 1000 hours that you are going to devote to this exam, 800, 700,000, depending on where you are. So it has to mean something, right? And the one word for this is career growth, right? So you want to grow in your career, right? So once we've seen this, we would look at some of the strategies, exam day strategies, right? What you need to be careful about in the exam, right? And once you're given the exam, then some considerations, post-exam considerations, like what you should introspect. Uh, then I will give you an overview of the learning portal that we have developed, right? What makes us unique, different from other prep providers, and why you should go with us as your learning partner. Right. Okay, let's go next. Let's understand the exam itself. Again, before I start to tell you more about FRM, so please just say yes or no. Do you understand what is FRM? Just quickly type in the chat. Do you understand what is FRM? Loud and clear. That's how I like it. Loud and clear. Yes, you should be confident. Yes, that's great. A lot of yes. That is good. So I will, just fast pace, or, I will not take a lot of time in this introduction. Great, great. That's great. Cool. Everyone is, everyone has come prepared. Great. So, it is organized by GAR, right? It is globally recognized in all the companies, all the major BFSIs, all the countries, you know, they accept FRM charter holders with respect. They prefer the candidates with FRM background. Right? It is a professional designation. For financial risk management, this is the benchmark. Nothing else beats FRM in term as a certification. Right? Apart from FRM, there are a lot of other alternatives, but let me tell you, whatever anyone else is saying, that's not true. FRM is the gold standard for risk management. There are two parts, part one and part two. So the general pathway looks like you clear FRM part one. Within the 4 years, you have to clear FRM part two as well. Then you submit a work experience of 2 years and you become a FRM charter holder. Very simple, straightforward, right? Uh, the journey can be completed within 1 to 1.5 years if you plan it well, right? So again, this is the same thing. And yeah, one more thing is your work experience should be related to risk management. So this is also important. Like once you have cleared FRM part two, while like submitting your work experience, just take some suggestions from people who have cleared it, who have submitted their work experiences and successfully, it is accepted. Some facts. I think a lot of you may not be aware of few of these. It is not a very old exam. This was introduced in 1997 only. So this is a relative how you see it, like whether it is old or not. So up until 2007-9, like people would not even bother much, like whether you have cleared FRM or not. In fact, I remember hiding back in EY into risk domain. I had not done FRM at all, and I mean, no one seemed to like care much about FRM at that moment of time as well, right? But if you look at job descriptions belonging to risk domain, which are increasing significantly, right? They in most of the job descriptions you can see FRM is preferred. It will help you at least in CV screening very fast. It gets so your CV will get screened very fast, and in your interview questions as well, it will help you a lot. As of 2022, there are 84,000 working professionals who have completed FRM certification. Right? So they are not this number, like, it may seem a very large number, but if you look at the working population, like within risk, not just within risk management, but let's say across BFSI segment, so this number is very small. This tells us that there is only a handful of people who possess this kind of skill set in a demonstrable way. Right? So this is accepted in like more than 190 countries, which is saying just like every country. They work for major banks, insurance companies, accounting firms, regulatory agencies, asset management firms. A lot of the sectors are not even included here, but you can see almost everything and everything that comes under BFSI, you will see FRMs are accepted there, because anything that has to deal with finance, money, there is always a component of risk involved there, and that's what essentially FRMs do. They manage the risk. Most of the times it's financial risk, right? Sometimes there are other kind of risk which we are not going to discuss in this session, right? Like sustainability and climate risk. For that, we have different certifications and different pathways. Its fees range from 1,600 US dollar to 2,000 US dollar. And if you speak in terms of Indian currency, that is 1,40,000 to 1,70,000. This depends on whether you are doing a standard registration or a early bird registration. Right? And this does not include your coaching fee plus calculator fee, which is relatively nominal, but yeah, separate. So its fees, one-time enrollment fee that you have to pay, this is 400 US dollars, right? You can say this is for both the parts, you have to pay one time. FRM1, again, it is bucketed into two registration buckets. One is early bird, the other one is second standard registration. For early bird, you save $200, and there is a window before which you can register. You can kind of avail this early registration, and if you do that, you can register for 600 US dollars. Otherwise, you'll have to pay $200 additional, and it would be 800. The good thing is the registration fee, which is I would say in terms of cost, this is the largest component. This gets reimbursed by almost all the major banks or financial institutions if you successfully clear the exam, right? So this is a good part. Coaching may cost another 800 to 1,000 US dollars. Total cost with coaching is 2,000 US dollars. Now, if you compare it with any master's degree or a lot of online courses which are being provided, this is relatively much less. Like, I'm being honest here, because FRM is considered almost equivalent to a degree in a lot of countries, right? Plus, your fee that will get reimbursed is another good bit. So from your pocket, you are essentially paying only for coaching, right? And there you are learning a lot of things as well. Okay, this is an interesting part. For me, it is my personal favorite, career growth with FRM, how it helps you. So it helps you because like there are three things. Like, one is industry recognition. This is recognized across industries, right? Career advancement, right? So they value this FRM designation, and in general, your earning potential will increase, right? This will not increase directly that, okay, you have acquired FRM certification, so the firm will give you a bonus or something. But this will help you because you can make career switches which are more niche in their domain. Your progression or promotion gets fast paced, right? So indirectly, it helps you in switching faster, growing within your company, right? Finding more relevant roles. So in that sense, it helps you in your career advancement. Then skills enhancement, right? If I were to speak about it, if you look at the FRM exam, on the surface it will appear largely theoretical in nature, and which is true as well. Like, you will not be dealing with data, you will not be doing any programming, right? So it looks largely conceptual, theoretical in knowledge. So how does it lead to skills enhancement? So the idea is that you acquire that knowledge, you you sort of uh, deep dive into the theory part, and then simultaneously you pick some complementary skills such as Python or any other programming language which is widely used mostly in risk management. What I have seen, at least 70 to 80% of the roles, they are using Python or something similar, that is R. 70 to 80% this is Python and R. So you pick this skill and you combine these two. You are learning something in FRM and you build that same model with real data, real time data that you pull from the market using Python or R. And that is with this combination, your skills get enhanced. And this is how it is actually used in the industry as well. Right? Like, it may seem very surprising to some of you, and you may not even believe it if you're listening for it for the first time, that very simple models such as value at risk historical method, it is so simple in nature. If you it will not take you more than one day to understand it completely with all its assumptions, limitations, and apply it, uh, implement it with Python. And this is what a lot of the people are actually doing in industry. Historical var method, despite being all its limitations, is still being used in the industry. Right? So that is how you build your skills. Starting with very simple models such as valuation models, risk models, right? And then you start to do a little bit more advanced models such as valuation adjustments, which are used for counterparty creditors, that you can do after FRM part. Okay, top employers. Okay, this is something. Okay, while I was preparing this slide, uh, I had two thoughts. One, I have put a lot of text in this slide. Second, this still seems incomplete, and the reason being, there are, like, more than hundreds of firms. These are the top firms, like, not just middle-sized bank or low AUM banks, right? So almost everyone wants to employ FRMs for their risk management team. There are two reasons. One, of obviously, like, when it comes to core risk management, so FRM has direct applications. And secondly, there are fundamental topics that you learn and uh, acquire knowledge in while studying for FRM, which has applications beyond just risk management, right? So just to give you one example, uh, FRM Part One, Book One has FRM Part One, Book Three has financial markets and products. It has 20 chapters, and in that book, you are going to understand about what are the different participants in financial markets, how do different participants behave, how do financial markets work, right? Some of them being like mutual funds, hedge funds, insurance companies, pension plans, right? Uh, and difference between, let's say, OTC versus exchange traded markets, how are transactions being handled differently on that? What is the central clearing? How does it work? Right? What are the variation initial margins? All of it, right? And then what different products, right? So the second part is financial markets and products. So the second part is financial products. So financial products being very simple ones like futures forwards, right? To, let's say, European options, call, put, their variants, right? And American options. Then you have bonds, you have swaps, right? You have mortgage-backed securities. One of the key contributors towards the 2007-2009 crisis. So everyone wants to ensure that, hey, we want to capture the risk, uh, and as well as we need people who can understand the markets, who know about these products. So, for example, a related role could be ALM. asset liability management. Now, it does not say risk in its name, but a lot of ALM roles, they will prefer FRMs, right? I'm not going to go through this list, but just to tell you, it includes almost every firm, right? And this list is not, uh, exhaustive. This is not exhaustive at all. This is not complete. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? You have investment banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all of them, consulting and big four, all big fours, right? Asset management and hedge funds, credit rating agencies. So I think some of you are working in those. Fintech and risk analytics, all the new startups that are booming in this space. Global banks, Standard Chartered, BNP Paribas, Indian PSUs as well. Like I was just looking at one of the notifications by issued by a bank for job vacancies, and they had clearly stated their FRM preferred. Career paths. Okay, so this was about who is employing, who are your employers, and this slide is about what are you going to actually work on. For example, if I clear FRM, uh, what is my day-to-day work look like? What I'm going to look at? What type of projects I'm going to work at? So sometimes there's a lot of overlap, right? Because risk does not exist in silos. It is a holistic view that we need to take. But on a project to project basis, this is generally viewed separately. All right. So if you're working in market risk, so you will focus on managing losses, which can change due to movements in market variables. What are these market variables? Interest rates, volatilities, equity prices, FX rates, commodities. Right? These are generally the asset classes. Your key focus areas would be so see market risk to measure to quantify market risk. You need some metrics. What are these metrics? Value at risk and expected shortfall. Then the trading book. There's a updated guideline related to trading book called Fundamental Review of Trading Book (FRTB), which prefers that we use expected shortfall over VAR, which is traditionally used. This is a traditional risk measure for market risk for a particular reason, so which you will study in FRM. I don't want to go too in too much of details like at this point of time. Stress testing and scenario analysis, right? You will do this in either whether you're working in model, any line of defense, right? First, second, or third. So you will do this. Regulatory frameworks, FRTB, I just told you about the standardized approach and internals model approach. Sensitivity measures, delta VICA, DVO1. This is for obviously like interest rate instruments. For options, it would be Greeks. Credit risk. This is like I would say relatively easier side of the risk analytics or risk management, and this assess the likelihood of default and potential losses from borrowers. So you know how a bank typically works, right? So the bank's primary source of revenue is for a retail bank, especially like if they are giving money to someone, right, and then they are charging some fees on that. So there are chances that the borrower can default, and you measure like at any point of time what is the probability of default, what is the loss if the person defaults, and what is that exposure at that time of default. Expect ECL is then calculated by taking their combination, this being discounted to its present value. And IFRS 9 CECL, like these are different accounting frameworks that you have to take care of depending on which geography you're looking at. Credit rating models, scorecard models. So all the borrowers are rated, right? And depending on the borrower type, there are different rating models, rate rating models, and there are different scorecard models. Portfolio risk concentration analysis, like how much your how, like based on like how many loans you have, is your loss is your risk concentrated, right? Or what is the total portfolio risk? Again, liquidity and treasury risk. By the way, I'm going a little off the like script. So this is not just about FRM. This is about what you do after FRM. right? Because most of you said that you're well aware of FRM. So I don't want to go too deep into, okay, this chapter is this chapter is that, right? I want to tell you a little bit more about FRM after FRM, what you can do. Is it okay? Should I keep doing this or should I go more about FRM? Okay, if you want me to continue telling you about career paths, just say C. If you want me to get back to the script and tell you more about FRM exams, books, chapters, just say F. C versus F. Okay. C is for career, F is for FRM. Okay, people want F, F, C. Okay, that seems to be a tie. C, C. We are going to make my job difficult. Okay, I'll have to balance both then. Let me let me just sort of increase my pace here and then get back to FRM as well. Okay, so within liquidity and treasury risk, you ensure that institutions they can meet short-term obligations without stress. Right? So common ratios, LCR, NCR, these need to be reported. ALM, this is very important. Like just going here as a point, but this is very important, and there are very specific strategies need to be deployed in place to ensure that your assets and liability are managed properly. Then you have cash flow forecasting, funding strategies, right? You need to forecast cash flows in order to ensure that any shortage in funds cannot trigger a major liquidity risk. Interest rate risk in the banking book. For this, just view some of my LinkedIn posts. I have published a lot of posts about what is IRR, PP, uh, interview questions around it. We have a short course as well on risk hub. So yeah, you can view that. Model validation and MRM. This is not a risk type separately, but this is more of a framework, you could say, or a broader area, uh, which provides a framework of how to capture, like, your model risk and how to document it, how to monitor it, how to certain guidelines attached with it, such as SR 11.7, which again outlines few things that your report should include, such as executive summary, model methodology, assumptions, limitations, that too for data and modeling assumptions, limitations. Um, Again, what else? Like back testing, stress testing, scenario analysis, continuous ongoing monitoring is one. Any references, again, the last you need to put. So these are some of the methods of properly, um, properly developing, validating, or auditing a model, right? Again, this is a generic framework, and what you need to do differs based on your model type. So your model could be a pricing model, risk model. It could be a PD, LGD, EAD, or a scorecard model. It could be a risk model like VAR model. Model governance frameworks, SR 11.7 is a standard. Model limitation assumption. I just told you about that. Okay. Uh, so people who are waiting for FRM, it gets back. Uh, okay. FRM part 1 and part 2 are largely similar, like, 4 MCQs, one correct answer, no negative marking. Exam window is May, August, and November. Duration is 4 hours for both these exams. The only difference is in FRM part 1, there are 100 questions. For part 2, you get only 80 questions. Right? Don't consider this is easy because the syllabus for FRM2 is huge, 100 plus chapters that you need to cover. All right, so let's go to coverage. What are the books which are part of FRM part 1? It has 4 books. First book being Foundations of Risk Management. Second is Quantitative Analysis. Third, we discussed a bit about it, Financial Markets and Products. Fourth is Valuation and Risk Models. Right. The weightage is not same. For book 1 and book 2 have a weightage of 20% each. Book 3 and book 4 have a weightage of 30% each. Right. So again, number of chapters, obviously they are not uniform. So Foundations of Risk Management has 11 chapters. Quantitative Analysis, 15 chapters. Financial Markets and Products, 20 chapters. Valuation and Risk Models, 16 chapters. Total of 62 chapters in FRM Part 1. Typical duration to cover, 4 to 6 months based on your background. FRM Part 2, it has 6 books, right? This one is a minor one, current issues. But beyond that, if we look at major books, market risk, credit risk, operational risk, liquidity and treasury risk, investment management, right? The full form is for this, like, this is risk and investment management. All right. One thing I would like to highlight here is if you look at FRM Part 1 syllabus, you see foundations of risk management, quantitative analysis, financial markets and products, valuation and risk models. If you come from commerce background, you might have seen quite a few of these topics in your, during your graduation program. Maybe the scope would be limited, but you might have seen that. So this is more foundational in nature. It sets the tone for, like, upcoming part 2, or this builds your basics. Now this is more interesting. It is more applied in nature, because here, if you would look closely, you will see each of these books. This is, like, a particular risk type itself, different risk types. So for example, market risk will have chapters which will be focused only around the concepts related to market risk, right? All the basics that you need for it are covered within part 1. Same goes for credit risk, operational risk, liquidity and treasury, and investment management. In terms of weightage, market, credit, and operational risk, they all weigh 20% each, right? 15% each for liquidity and treasury risk plus investment management, and 10% for current issues. These are the number of chapters, right? So you can see credit risk and operational risk are very theoretical, very theory heavy. Market risk has relatively less number of chapters, but they are more, I would say, analytical in nature. So liquidity and treasury risk and investment management, there was a syllabus change within 2026. So they now have 17 chapters each. Current issues, only 8 chapters. Okay, now come to study strategies. This is the interesting part. Okay, we are at 8:16. Okay. Do you want me to go through study strategies, study resources and all? Say yes or no, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Yes, please. Okay, a lot of yes. Okay, cool. My job is not going to be easier anytime soon. Cool. No worries, I'm moving forward. Okay. For study resources, what all you are going to refer? There are textbooks, there are online videos, there is peer learning. These are the mediums. For textbooks, Risk Hub notes, Schweizer books, car books only for reference. Now, before you start to attack me, let me tell you, I love car books. I love the detailed analysis present there. But whenever you're studying, you should be clear what is your objective. Is your objective clearing the exam as within as little time as possible? So basically, time optimal preparation. Or is your objective something where you can afford to give too much of time and you want to grasp everything with a lot of depth? Because most of the working professionals, they are almost always short on time. I have worked in banking for 10 years and I know a lot of people in my connections. I have never met any person, like, with 3+ years of job who says, hey, I have fixed, like, 6 hours job, 8 hours job. Everyone is almost, like, running on deadlines. So if you want your prep to be time optimal, be very, very selective about your study resources. And that's why I recommend going for Schweizer books. Schweizer books does effective practice, selective practice problems. They are sufficient. That's it. Risk of notes. Now we have developed our own
Sir,
digital notes. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but for Treasure, it's both. It's for both the levels, like level 1 and level 2 for both.
Yes, yes, Schweizer books is applicable for both. Schweizer books are sufficient.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter whether you are speaking about FRM Part 1 or FRM Part 2.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right. Uh, Online videos. Again, so we have our own videos, Risk Hub online videos and Risk Hub question bank, right? If you're enrolled in some other coaching institute, so you use those videos, right? Peer learning, we have WhatsApp groups which are free and open. You can join those and share your doubts there, and they get closed within 24 hours, mostly what I have seen. You can share your insights and clarify doubts with your fellow learners, obviously. Okay, self-study notes. You cannot afford to miss this year. Means a lot of people get a bit clumsy or lazy about this part. They don't make their notes. Uh, Either there is an initial inertia because you have been out of touch of making notes so long that you now find it difficult to pick a pen and paper and then start to write things. It's very difficult, I know. Doesn't matter, but make notes. The least you could do is make digital notes, right? But make notes, make your own notes. It will be very dirty, I know. Um, they will not be, maybe some other person cannot even understand what you are trying to say, but that's not the point. These notes are for your own reference, not for anyone else, right? So there are some people who like to make notes with 5 different sketch pens. You can do that if you like that, if you have that sort of time. There are few people who have very dirty handwriting, similar to a doctor. Doesn't matter if you can understand it after 2 months. That will do, right? So write it yourself, right, or make it yourself. Uh, Keep it brief, right? Don't just copy paste anything that you see in the book or in the video lectures. What the instructor is saying, don't just copy paste that. Whatever you grasp from it, write it in a very short manner, right? In general, if you see 10 lines written there, so it should be covered within 2 to 3 lines. That is the ratio that you need to maintain. Notes have to be live, or you could say they are live and organic in a sense. Once you have made some notes, they have to be updated on a continuous basis. And what are those points that will trigger this updation? One, whenever you're revising. Second, whenever you're practicing problems, right? So whether these are chapter wise practice problems or your test series that you're giving, whenever you do that, you find, okay, this concept is tested again and again, and it has this set pattern or formula to do it. You just write it in your notes. Whenever you think that you get that your answer is incorrect, you are repeating the same mistake, you write it in your notes that you should not do it. So whatever updated understanding, new understanding that you build while revising or while practicing, you just keep updating them. Revision is essential, right? So don't just make a plan and study and study and study. Keep at least one day in a week where you would revise things. It is very essential because if you've not seen your own notes for, let's say, 4 months, after 4 months you won't be able to understand and interpret them. Believe me, like even if they are your own notes, you would find it like, okay, what have I written here, I'm not able to understand it. So to avoid that, to keep revising whatever you are doing, whatever you are understanding, and keep revising it, please. You should have a planner. Right? Planner is very essential, especially if you are doing self study, and whatever topics you are completing, you should be including it. Your revision of concept should also be including as part of it. Right? So for example, when we provide a planner, and I've already shared it with everyone who has registered, just look at it. It will have windows where I have said, like, these are your revision and backlogs clearing windows. So your planner should have that. How to practice? um, Again, it says mocks, notes, and update notes. It's very simple, right? One more thing perhaps I can include is question bank, but I'm assuming that you are doing it on simultaneously with the study part. So mocks is something, let's say you have completed one book, so you go to that book wise practice paper mock, and you complete that, right? Whatever new understanding that you find. See, the way we have designed test series for FRM1 is we have already uh, taken into consideration the fact that okay, these topics are more important and questions are more likely to be asked from these chapters, right? For example, CAPM for book one, uh, financial disasters, right, from book one, probability from book two. Similarly, there's a lot of chapters which are more likely to be tested based on like experience from last several years. So whenever you see such questions, just note down the formula there, right? Structured study plan, prepare a schedule, prioritize topics, what you need to study when, your progress, just update your progress, very on a continuous basis, and practice. Practice should be very important. It shouldn't be like you're just studying. Um, you should be practicing questions. Unless you practice questions, you will not realize how to actually apply those concepts that you have studied, in a manner which GARP would test you. Okay, now let's come to exam day. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here because we have almost completed. Shobit, I just told you, like, for part one, you can say 4 to 6 months, depends on your background. For part two, I would say 5 to 8 months it can take because the syllabus is very vast. And if you are, for example, working in a consulting setup, most probably would have seen a lot of risk management chapters there. So it will take less time. 5 to 8 months you should take for part two. Joydeep, you want to ask something?
Pratik, I have a specific question.
Sure.
So I am on the tech side of market risk, and I want to move to either model risk management, I mean model validation. So a team that takes care of validating the models that are being used, whether it's an internal model or standardized approach or whatever it is.
I
Second,
got it. Got it.
or the quantitative aspect, like the quant side. So, what all skill sets apart from FRM do you think would be
Yes,
needed to
maybe,
get into the
Jadip,
quant
sorry,
side?
sorry to interrupt you. So, can we take these questions? Because this is a more, I would say that the scope of this question is more than just the FRM. Can we take these questions once I have completed the FRM part,
Yeah, sure. We can take
right?
this
I
at
have taken your question, very commonly asked question, but taken and noted. I will certainly address it after this, after this section.
Yeah, sounds good, Pratik. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Now time management. So once you have sort of decided, okay, I'm going to do the FRM. You've studied for it. You have practiced for it. Right now comes the D day, exam day. So you have to be careful about few things. For example, one, prioritization. Begin with questions where you find most where you are most comfortable. Right. So you have to scan the 100 questions really fast. Right? I'm not saying that don't attempt any question and just keep scanning because obviously you will not remember it. I'm saying the first scan should complete all those questions which you can do under 1 minute, right? And there should be, if your practice is good, at least 50 such questions, 40 to 50, depending on your practice and your luck as well, up to a bit. Right. So 40 to 50 questions should be there, which you can do within under max 1.5 minutes. So for some questions, it would be 1 minute, like formula, just plug and play. Uh, and for some questions, it could go up to 1.5 to sort of remove the confusing options. Right? Then second iteration should cover those questions which would take somewhere around 2.5 minutes, right? And these would be like again 20 such questions, right? So you need to follow this strategy to carefully, and then there is an option you should know. So, for example, if you have seen any good test studies, they will show you like you can flag questions, like you can see which questions are completed, which are just flagged, which are not attempted at all. So you make better use of that. Don't just approach the exam in a very linear manner that hey, I will give 1 hour, 1 hour for first hour to first 25 questions, then second hour to second 25 questions. Don't follow this strategy because for different people these easy and different questions are placed in different sections. I mean, there is not official section, but I am saying just like this segment of 25 questions. allocate time for each section based on the number of questions, maintaining a steady pace. Yeah, one more thing I've seen that's more of a psychological error that you could make is spending time. See, if you are spending time on a difficult question, I know you will not do it if you're not studied well, and if you know that you don't know that concept well, you will not spend time on it. And that's very intuitive, and yeah, you will follow that. But what gets wrong is when you start to spend time on a topic where you think you are very strong, right? Because it you become a bit personal that hey, I'm very strong in this topic. I will get to the bottom of it. I will solve this question, and if you solve it within 5 or 6 minutes, then I mean it's not a good choice, right? Flagging, uh, flag questions that I told you, right? So that require further review. And skip to next questions. Answering techniques, elimination method very helpful. At least 1 to 2 options you'll be able to easily eliminate. If your preparation is good, 1 to 2 options you can very easily eliminate, right? So then luck also depend here. Like luck also matters, to be honest, for both the reasons. Like one, that there is no negative marking, right? So everyone attempts all the questions, and in some cases, if you are lucky enough, so by getting closer to quartile results, you can clear the exam, right? But from your side, you have to make a very optimized attempt, right? So use elimination method very carefully. Wherever you think, okay, I cannot get to the right answer, but I can at least eliminate the options which are not making any practical sense. So you can eliminate those. Attempt all questions. I mean, don't do this mistake that you were stuck on first 70 or 80 questions only. And this may look very silly like when I'm telling you this, but people who are not aware of this, or who were not like who didn't practice enough practice questions, practice mocks, especially full length test in a exam environment like 4 hour, right? Because most people, what do? Like they will take previous year mocks, PDFs of those mocks, pirated manner, right? And then they will start to solve it, and then they think the exam will be similar. But both things matter, but accuracy also matters, your pace also matters. When you attempt questions in this manner by downloading the PDF and just solving it like 20 questions now, 20 questions some other time, your pace does not build up, right? So accuracy and pace both matters. That's why test series helps a lot in answering techniques, right? Reviewing responses, you must plan your or and pace your exam in a manner such that at least 20 to 30 minutes are remaining for reviewing the responses. Believe me, at least 10 questions would be there where you would have done a silly mistake, and you would be happy that you got back and revised those options, right? So you have to keep some time allocated for that. Okay, this is the last part, post-exam considerations, right? So once you've gotten the results, right? So understand the scoring system. There is a quartile system that GAR follows. It does not release the official cutoff, any official marks for any separate book or the overall aggregate. But you should understand how to interpret it. And basically, in case you've cleared it, yeah, well, congratulations, right? You can move to part two preparation. If in case you are not able to clear it, so then look at, okay, with each book, uh, what was the shortfall, right? So by how much you were not able to clear the results. Generally, I would say, obviously, ideally you would attempt for and try for first quartile in all the books. But if you get second quartile in all the books, at least second quartile in all the books, even then you can clear the exam. Okay. So one more thing, uh, which is very important here is, especially within part one, CAR will look at clearing the exam in all the books. I have seen from some people who scored reasonably well in 3 books, but in one book they got 4, and that's why they failed. And that book is most likely going to be book 2, because quantitative analysis is the fear of a lot of people, right? So there, like, you need to give some more time, although its weightage is only 20%, but you have to ensure that you are at least getting out of 20 marks, 12 to 13 at least you are getting right. Exam feedback, whatever you are getting to refine your risk management knowledge and enhance your professional competencies. Okay, this was about FRM, about the career paths, right? I'm going to,
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt. But sir, I just wanted to know one thing. Do
yes.
they twist the formulas in the real exam?
Sorry, could you repeat your last question, Shakti?
Do they twist the formulas in real exam?
Yeah,
Like,
yes, they do, but the split is very less. For example, you could expect 75-25 split. So numericals,
no, 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 sir. I'm asking about the twisting the formula. Let's say, I was studying, I was going through the CAPM capital asset pricing model. So they provided me the expected return and the entire formula.
mhm,
So they provided me the value what in general, like what we need to what we need to find in general form. So they already provided me, and they asked me to get the market return value.
got it. Yeah, I mean it can be asked.
It can be asked, and this can be done in similar manner in the real exam.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
right. Okay. So what do we provide you if you take mentorship coaching from RISPA? Okay, someone has asked some questions. If you may speed up. Yeah, please. I've done that already. How long it would take for someone to doing? Yeah, this question I'll answer a bit later. CFA level 2 wala. Right. So we provide live lectures. Recordings are available. You can watch them any number of times, right? Detailed notes are there, revision notes, formula sheets are there. Question bank, 2000 plus questions covered within chapter-wise practice problems. We have AI-driven insights. Test series as well, we have 10 tests, 50 quizzes, total 1500 questions. There are AI-driven performance insights. Attendance tracking is there. Progress tracking is there. We will provide you calculator usage training, right? Is a dedicated WhatsApp community for doubt solving. Exam tips, few I have provided you on a very surface level. Then as you get closer, I'll share some important topics, important questions that you can prepare that I have compiled from GART mocks, right? Career guidance, some of it comes as a one-to-one guidance, like, if you are switching a job or something you need my help with, right? And we have master classes on career guidance, right? How to transition your career in risk management. I already published a lot about it, right? So thus I keep sharing this within our resource as well, where I share more insights about it. Com- qualitative, Quantitative models implementation, right? So you'll get excellent Python implementation for models such as value at risk, expected shortfall, options pricing model, both binomial tree and Black-Scholes Merton model, right? And then options beats. CV prep will help you with CV prep. Will provide you a sample, good, template that you can use to prepare your CV. Interview guide will provide you 100 plus interview Q&As that you can expect if you have done an FRM and are preparing for a similar role. Right? So this is November. So this is my right. This is for November. So we're going to start a batch from Monday. This was the orientation, so you could say this was essentially session 0. And from Monday, we'll start full fledged, right? And registrations will close tomorrow. Already 30 plus people have started their preparation. They have got access to portal and everything, right? So in case you're interested, just reach out to me. I will just take 2 more minutes. Maybe I would want to share a couple of things with you, which is very interesting. Mm, hello. So I want to share my a different screen and let me know if you can see that. Is my screen visible?
Sorry to interrupt, Pratik. Like, who will be teaching all these four subjects? Like, it will be all done by you, or there will be another faculty joining?
There is another faculty. I'll just shortly tell you about him as well.
Okay.
Or maybe I can tell you just right away. Okay, so Sudhanshu is going to be your faculty. Okay, so this is a LinkedIn profile of Sudhanshu. Okay, the reason I showed you is because he's very active on LinkedIn, so it seemed like a good thing to share on this call. So he has 17 plus years of corporate experience, right? Plus 5 plus years of teaching experience. He has done CFA, FRM, CQF, all three, right? He's worked with Goldman Sachs, HSBC. He's a very active on LinkedIn as well, very active in all the communities, students communities, right? He's very responsive to all the queries as well. Helps people with their career related doubts as well, right? So he's going to be the faculty, and but I will be there in all the groups, and you could say he's acting. He will be acting in the capacity of an instructor, right? And I will be acting in the capacity of a mentor, because I strongly believe that for a program such as FRM, which is very comprehensive in nature, which will require a lot of time period to cover, you need more than just like understanding the concepts. You need to know how to apply those concepts within a practical context. Cool. So I just wanted to give you an overview of how, if you enroll with us, how your portal would look like. This would be your dashboard. Uh, and from this, you can access all the offerings. So this is something we have 2 or 3 features which we have very recently deployed. So may not be available to some people. But you can enter your exam date. It will show you progress. What is your success probability based on your progress, right? The upcoming live class, this will be a live class performance, right? How many you have attended, what is the completion percentage on average, how many what is your duration, the class for the the average duration for attended class, right? What is the best time for you to study, right? It could be different for different people based on when they are most active. Then your progress in terms of how much syllabus you have, course syllabus you have completed versus test series, right? So I personally believe that test series is essentially very important, because unless you don't practice the questions, for me, when you say I have completed 2 books or 3 books, does not make a lot of sense. So we track progress as well, plus accuracy as well. Then one more thing that we have provided, we realized quantitative analysis is something which is difficult to a lot of learners. So we have created a prerequisite quantitative analysis primer, which is provided as free along with these 4 books. Right. Test series is there. There are a few quick links. We will also provide you access to Python for Finance course, which is not appearing here because it is not part of FRM syllabus essentially. But if you enroll with us, we will provide you access to that as well. In case you are interested to know more about like what is covered in Python for Finance, you can just DM me on WhatsApp. But for this particular session, I wanted to focus mostly on this only, like courses and test series. So if you would give me just 2 more minutes, I would show you how your courses and um, test series would look like. So for each chapter, right, you will have the structure where you will have videos, you will have teach. So this will be a video, right? Um, if you miss any live class, you can watch it. You can watch it any number of times. No complicated setup needed. You just need to you just need to have a live internet connection. It will also track how much video you have watched. So when you log back in next time, similar to Netflix or any other OTT, it will start from there. Then these are the notes that we have prepared. Just whenever you have studied it, gotten a good understanding, mark it as complete, right? So, and this will update your progress. For practice problems, we have practice problems designed for each of the chapters, right? You can mark it, submit it, right? And it will show you the lesson as well from which this practice problem is taken. So, for example, if this is incorrect, for example, I've done it incorrectly, I would look at it. But even if I think, that this, even after looking at the explanation, I'm not able to understand this, I can revise the entire lesson. And then so I can see this lesson. Yeah, now it says. And I can retry it with the updated understanding. That's how you should ideally study, I mean. Then you can attempt all the questions, right? And once you attempt all the questions, you will see performance insights, right? How many you attempted right versus wrong, and you can filter actually all your answers by. So for me, like I did not attempt any incorrect, and there were a lot of unattempted questions. So it will show them here with a detailed explanation and the chapters from which they were taken. I think, yeah, apart from it, there is a test series, the same similar in terms of the question, but I would still show you one test. So here you can track, like, which questions you have completed and all. Your time will get, clock will start ticking as soon as you start the test, right? You mark all the questions, submit it, right? Once you have done that, so some AI performance analysis would happen, right? It will show you for each topic, for each chapter, how what is your, like, understanding. So for me, it needs improvement, obviously, like, the way I have attempted it, right? Your rank, the number of questions total, how many you attempted, right? And then here you can look at all the answers in a detailed manner. You can filter again here by correct, incorrect. A lot of them will be unattempted. And then if you want to look at a more granular level, you can go to, like, chapter wise. Right? So this filtering is available. Right? Here also you can revise by the lessons for that particular topic. It's very similar to how GARD provides the exam, just that it's more digital, and the analysis is a bit more uh, nuanced and granular. Right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this moment here. I'm open to take all the questions in case you have any. All right.
Also,
Uh,
Pratik, like how many times we can see the recorded videos? Is it like a restricted one
no,
or
any number of times.
okay?
One more thing is, like, you will have access to the portal 18 months, right? So you would have seen a lot of the prep providers, they provide very limited time access. So for us, it is 18 months, live lessons, sorry, live sessions. And after that, if you want to extend, the price fee is nominal. Depends on, like, whether you're purchasing it from India or outside India, but it's nominal. It's, you don't need to pay the complete amount. Right. Now, we will first take the questions which are more related to FRM specifically, or this batch specifically. Then we will open the forum to more broader questions, right? So let's start. Let's get the questions coming. Anyone has any questions, any doubts?
Yes, sir.
All right. See, Amit, please.
Yeah, very good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So, I'm recently qualified chartered accountant, and for masters, like I'm looking up the any global professional courses like which can add on to my uh, work also.
Hmm.
And I'm little bit confused, like how to decide which professional course should I enter into. Like this is the first time like hearing about FRM, and it's like pretty good, like I got to know each and everything like the way you have guided us.
Hmm.
So in like what are the approaches or what are the methods like to identify which course is to be better, which suits to the for the long term, like every third person is like appearing for the CFA, like in today's market, and very less number of people are opting for the FRM, and for the same as well for the USCMA and other professional courses. So like I'm into the dilemma, like which of the courses is suitable for me? Could you please help me out to decide?
True. Yeah, it is true. CFA is taken by a lot of people despite the high cost plus a longer time to completion. Uh, there are 2 to 3 reasons which will not go into the details, but primarily being CFA has been marketed really well. First, secondly, CFA has a broader spectrum of the possible career opportunities that it offers. It does not come very easily, but yeah, it does offer a wider spectrum of jobs. And I think third, I mean, yeah, these are the 2 major reasons I would say: marketing plus the spectrum, right? That being said, FRM I think is a more something more niche, and which I showed you in FRM part 2, like the books that you cover. So these are the verticals where you can build a successful career, right? For you, one more factor to consider is that you're coming from a CA background, right? So, in my experience, I have seen CA plus FRM, this combination, do really exceptionally well in roles such as asset liability management, right? So, anything which is related to ALM, Treasury, IRR, BB, FTP, right? You would find it very, very natural, right? Because what are the things that you would be acquiring? The understanding of financial statements. You would have a very good understanding of financial statements from your CA background. Then secondly, uh, that cash flow statements, cash flows, like how do they get impacted by risk factors such as changes in yield curves or market factors such as if there are changes, interest rates shocks expected in the market, how would that impact the uh, cash flows, future cash flows, right? That's a major thing. I mean, just believe me. So that's where I think CA plus FRM combination is very helpful, because you can look at how to hedge that type of risk with instruments such as bonds, right? How to understand and interpret the sensitivity measures for interest rate instruments. You will understand about these things in detail in FRM as compared to CFA, right? So this is the advantage that you will get by doing FRM plus CA. One more thing is you can complete FRM both parts much quick in a much shorter duration and within a less budget as compared to CA plus CFA, right? Plus the competition would be more there.
Okay. And like what if I want to enter into this like finance domains, and like what are the opportunities like I can explore, for example, after doing FRF, can I enter into this FP&A roles or any other mergers acquisitions roles?
Yeah, see, FRM does not help in mergers and acquisitions at all. Like,
Oh,
it will not even remotely help you there, right? It will
okay.
mostly help you within the part where, the theoretical uh, build base is built by the CA background. On top of that, whatever slightly, I would say, quantitative part, like for example, how to interpret the impact of interest rate shocks, how to impact different behaviors of yield curves, like in the economy, what is steepening, what is flattening, right? How to view convexity and its impacts, right? So these very small things, but how they would impact the treasury of a bank. What is going to be the impact of this um, on the ALM side of the things, right? So that is where you would find it more helpful, right?
Okay. Like uh, in CS, what we have the compulsory training of 3 years. Like I was the old scheme student, so we have to complete first 3 years training in any of the domain, whichever feels like. So I have done my like 3 years training into the
Okay.
risk advisory domain.
Sorry to interrupt, Amit, but I would want to just hold you on for 2 minutes, because let's see if someone else has any questions. very specific
Sure.
FRM, है ना?
No
Can reach
worries.
out to me after this as well, or maybe we can have a follow-up session just for doubts right after this if there are more Q&As which I think may not be possible in the interest of time, right?
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, no worries. Does someone else have more doubts?
Hi, Pratik.
Hi,
Shobhit
Shobhit.
here. I just have a doubt that whether this you have shown this course material and all, no, whether it is available in the any whether specific app is there, or we have to uh, take in a laptop only, how it's actually works.
Okay, the one which I showed you, like what we are offering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for this, you only need an internet connection. You can view it on your browser, any browser, right? So you can access it on a laptop, you can access it on mobile, you can access it on iPad, tablet, whatever device you have, as because every device has a browser, right?
Yeah, and another thing, you were saying that for a apartment it is need approximately 4 to 6 months. Suppose for a moderate someone is not into this risk management sector. So how you are saying that 4 to 6 months fine, but how long for a particular day or a particular you can whether you can convert that duration of months into these hours actually, so that
See,
I can have a
I'll tell
better
you.
idea.
So it's possible to convert. I mean, obviously not with a 100% accuracy, but it's possible to convert. I have also designed a planner for that, which essentially accounts three, four things. Like one being your academic background, second being your professional experience, third being your time availability on weekdays and weekends. Obviously, it will be different on a weekday versus a weekend, right? And you can just then just back calculate, right? So for example, let's say you come from a background engineering background, statistics background, so obviously quantitative analysis, for quantitative analysis you can reduce like 40 hours or so. If you come from a background such as where you have learned a lot of covered a lot of topics related to financial markets products, bit of valuation models, right? So you can again cut down 40 hours there, right? And then you back calculate, okay, right? So for example, if you take 350 hours, let's say on average, and then you have removed like 50 hours based on your background. Again, you see, are you doing something? Are you working in a domain which is related to FRM curriculum? Let's say you are. Let's say if you're working in a domain where you have covered about these instruments in detail, so you can again cut down 50 hours there, and let's say you're done to 50 hours. Now, again, you'll have to calculate like if you are giving on a week 1 hour per day, right? So that's 5 hours in a weekday, in a week, on a week for weekdays. And let's say you are giving 2 hours per day on a weekend, 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, right? So that's 9 hours, right? On let's average it to 10, right, per week. So on a monthly basis, that's like 40 hours. And if you have to complete like 250 and उसको भी थोड़ा कम करते हैं 240 मान लेते हैं, so you will take 6 months. This is how it gets back calculated, right? I have made one or two small assumptions, but if you want to structurally break it down on a more granular level, then I have developed a planner in Excel. You can use that. You can update for each chapter what is your level of understanding based on your your graduation, whatever you have learned there, and the professional experience you have acquired, plus the time that you get for each weekday and weekend, and it will give you everything, like how many hours it will take, in how many days you can complete it. If you are attempting for a particular date, then it will give you the time before which you will be completing your exam, right? I will share it with you after the call.
Yeah, Pratik, thank you so much. And one last and final question. You have said that Sudhanshu will be one of the faculty.
Yeah,
So how you have designed this, whether it is will be taken by with Sudhanshu or partly by you? So how it's
no,
actually doing, and whether we can, whether when some group will be there, no? So that time who will be answering these queries? So that's all from my side. Thank you.
sure. Yeah. So see, the content is created by me. Like the entire content has been created by me, right? That being said, obviously, like whenever we create the content for a new course, so it's done at 2-3 levels, right? So Sudhanshu is also part of that content creation process. But when it comes to content delivery, right? So that would be taken completely by Sudhanshu. Right? The content delivery would be done completely by Sudhanshu. Right? When it comes to doubts, taking the doubts, right? So you can just post your queries in the group itself, and myself or Sudhanshu, it's our job to reply to your doubt within 24 hours, right? So see what happens is that both of us have very hectic schedule, right? So I cannot say who would be responding to all of your queries. Sometimes it would be Sudhanshu, sometimes it would be me. But our focus is to ensure that within 24 hours your query should get resolved. And 24 hours is something which I'm giving a very very conservative estimate. On average, I have seen queries getting resolved within 6 to 7 hours maximum. Right. Shobit, any other questions?
No, thank you, thank you so much.
Sure. All right. Anyone else have any further questions? I'll be happy to take.
Hello, Pratik.
Hi, Manoj.
Can I ask you a question? Like we talked about a lot of things like today before, but Pratik, like we almost all of the people that are willing to join this course are like working professional. They work for some places like 1, 2, or 3 years earlier. So what I expect from you that like you will help us to understand some models or how real life the risk management happens. Like, can you give us during this course? Can you help us to um, boost our working style in our office as well? Like, will it help in some way, or this is just some theoretical classes?
Yes, you raised a very good point actually, because see, for us, whenever someone asks like what is a USP, that is the biggest USP of us. For us, even in this session, you could see there were almost zero students. I don't see any students. All of them were working professionals. Even in our batches, the current batches that we are running, we have zero
Mhm.
students. All of our learners are working professionals, right? And we are a professionals first, and for now at least professionals exclusive FRM program that we are offering. There are 2 to 3 things that we have done to make sure that whatever you learn in part of this in FRM1 program is actually can actually be applied in the work, right? One, uh, Python for Finance course that we have started to give as a complimentary offering from this batch onwards, right?
No, one more thing that I would like to ask you, like there are a lot of things like risk appetite and a lot of the tolerable risk and a lot of things that came while we are doing some monthly risk analysis of any organization. Like, so if there any problem comes regarding this matter, so can we reach you in future, and uh, is there any way we can reach you in future as well, like for that?
Okay, these are two very different things.
Okay.
Very, very different things, right?
No,
Providing,
these come in the like in real life risk management. A lot of things will come like something.
yeah.
The reason I'm taking this FRM course is like I work in 2 years. I have worked in a risk management division. Like everything was already said there. Like for every I worked in a bank like for the last 5 years. So a lot of things are already set up by somebody else. So in order to change it or in order to pitch, like we have to set a different parameter for anything. Like I don't know the concepts. Like I have some kind of lacking in that. So the reason I'm taking FRM courses is this.
Yeah. See, fundamentally, the way the curriculum is designed, if you look at it, right, it would naturally help you, right? But okay, let's
Mhm.
take a particular example. Let's say we are completing a particular topic, X amount of syllabus we have completed, and then a problem appears in front of you, which is not covered yet, and then you come to
Mhm.
us, right? If it is within a reasonable band of difficulty, right? That, for example, yeah, let's say you want to understand how to backtest a VAR model. Okay, for
Mhm.
example, I'm just taking a very random example, right? And you have not studied it either because your syllabus has not completed it yet, or it's part of FRM2 syllabus which you are not enrolled in yet, right? So what we can do is we can provide you study material to go through. You can go through this material. This is the right resource for you where you will find how to resolve this problem, and this will be
Mm-hmm.
applicable even beyond FRM as well. Because let's say you come to us and saying that I need more information about FRTB. Can you share a regulatory doc? That we can do for free of cost. But when it comes as a full-fledged problem, right? That hey, please help me set up this project. Please help me in this project, and where you think I might I might be needed to give, let's say, 1 hour of my time. I won't be able to do that. That would be an
Mm-hmm.
over commitment from my side that I will not be making, because that's something which is outside the scope of FRM.
Okay. So, Pratik, one more thing that I would like to ask, in a lot of um, courses, how what we do in real life is quite different than what we study. So, you have yourself done FRM like quite a few years. You have worked in a risk management division. So, what's the correlation that you find between how I can deliver my work and what I study in the module? Like, how connected these things are?
Hmm. I would say FRM, that's the beauty of FRM, because whatever you will study in FRM, especially part two, you would see
Mhm.
direct applications of those concepts in your work, right?
Okay,
Direct
so
applications without any modification. Obviously, there would be slight modifications, but that delta would not be very large, right?
okay,
But
so
I
that
will
will come.
just
FRM two
let
would be
me
like okay.
let me complete my question answer, please. I'll tell you where you will face some difficulty. It will not be because of something that is not covered in FRM. It would be something because of some other gaps. For example, there would be complementary skills, Python being one of them, right? In general, you could say
Mhm.
programming in Python is specific, right? But you could be saying programming as one broader domain, and there would be other skill sets as well. For example, you might be needed to understand mathematics subjects like calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, stochastic calculus, based on which domain you are working in, right? If it is credit risk, then mostly statistics. You need to be good in statistics, econometrics, right? Uh,
Mhm.
you need to understand about programming. I've told you, maybe regulations, for example, CSL, IFRS 9 details. Those are not covered in FRM, right?
Mhm.
So that is the part where you would face more difficulty. But when it comes to the essentially the core, like, okay, these are the instruments, I've studied about this in FRM, you will not face difficulty then. That this is the payoff, this is the profit, this is how it works in markets. You have studied it
Mhm.
with very minimal now, so you have LLMs as well, which will give you very good enough response, right? So those are
Mhm.
the parts where you will have to groom yourself apart from FRM.
Okay. So can I ask one more question?
Sure.
We had some friend like who is also a chartered accountant. Like I'm also a chartered accountant. Look,
Sure.
so but how you have done like BTech before being FRM, right? So FRM would be easier for the people that have studied mathematics quants earlier, or it would be easier for more like the person from the accounting background. What do you think?
Mm, See, if you're good in mathematics, then within quantitative analysis, it helps. Beyond that, I don't think it helps too much, right? Uh, because beyond that, it's all about understanding financial markets, products, valuation. So the mathematics is not very, you don't need any advanced maths degree there, right?
Okay.
So that's possible. It's just that if you venture into a domain such as market risk, counterparty credit risk, and want to build a career there, so there
Mm-hmm.
you would need to know more about other types of modeling as well. For example, stochastic interest rate modeling or stochastic volatility modeling, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
pricing models are also stochastic, because stock prices in general, they are not deterministic, they are stochastic. So calculus, differential equations, everything starts to come together, and there, you would need uh, I would say more than just FRM. So there, that engineering person would have an advantage. But
Okay.
if you are going in a field such as treasury, as I told you, like, with the other person was asking, so in ALM and all, so the person with CA would have a better edge.
Okay. One last question, and I will be done. Like,
No, sure.
okay. So I have like 5 years of post qualification experience, and 3 years are in internal audit, and 3 years I have worked in a risk management division of a bank. So when I will be applying for the like FRM chartered, so will the internal audit can be taken as the relevant experience, or
It can
how
be. It
does?
can. You just need to
Uh,
be a bit smarter as well, because to be honest, nowadays, especially over the last few years, GARP has become slightly strict, more strict in accepting the work experience, right? So whenever you are explaining your work experience, just highlight the risk part, right? Because sometimes you have done that, but people don't highlight and give a very simple explanation or simple representation of what they have done, so it gets rejected. Right? So it's better to write it in a descriptive manner where you have touched upon, like, the parts of risk which you have taken care of in your work.
Sorry, Pratik. I just remember a question that we have talked about like 2 days before. So I want to make reimbursement from my employer. So like we'll talk beside this session on that. So how do I please them? Like, do you have any kind of
Excuse
template?
me, Pratik.
Or,
I think we are digressing from what we were supposed to discuss, and I had posted a very legitimate
okay,
question for
sorry, we'll talk
you
it
didn't answer.
separately.
No, no, listen,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
So we are running out of time, and I do have to log in over the weekend for some of the
Joydeep, yes,
important
we'll
tasks
take
that
your
has been
question
assigned to.
first.
So if you can answer my question, I'll gracefully exit this meeting after that.
Yes. So, Joydeep, if I remember, just to like summarize your question again, you mentioned that you are working in risk management, but more on the tax side, and then you want to switch to core risk, right?
That is correct.
Right, and within risk, like which domain? Market risk, I think.
Yes, I work with market risk, sensitivities, VAR, delta gamma,
Right.
almost everything. Yeah, DV01, NPV, all
And
flavors.
in terms of conceptual clarity, like, are you clear with their calculations, their methodologies, their applications as well?
Not all, but some of them.
Okay, so then I think,
For example, my question would be: see, if in 90% of the banks and financial institutions you make use of historical model for historical simulation for
exactly.
VAR calculation, so why do they ask you about Monte Carlo simulation? Why do they ask you about parametric analysis?
I'll tell you why they ask you. They ask you because beyond just VAR, which is just a simple risk metric, there are a lot of other models as well. For example, uh, valuation of exotic options, which are path dependent. Right? For example, Asian option, which is the average of different times at which it can be exercised. So you need some simulations, right? And that simulation need to follow a particular. It needs to be created by certain parameters based on, let's say, historical data or some assumptions, and they determine the stochastic paths. That's why, and that is nothing but Monte Carlo simulations, right? That you take some input parameters and create some simulations. So these paths are nothing but result of Monte Carlo simulation. Similarly, anywhere where you will see stochastic modeling, there Monte Carlo will come into picture. Nothing, it's nothing but just a simple fancy name for, like, doing random experiments. That's it.
So, for example, say nowadays you have the IRRBB for banking book, and for trading book FRTB. So each has their own models, right? Standardized approach, and then you have the internal models which varies from banks to banks. So in FRM, which are these covered? Number one. Number two, my question is: Are CVA, FVA, XVA, DVA, all value adjustment concepts are covered as a part of FRM curriculum? Yes or no?
Okay, cool. Great questions. So the first part is more about, I would say, regulatory approaches, right? Whether you are speaking about trading book, banking book, they are covered not at a very high, not at a very high level. At the surface level, yes, they are covered in There is a FRTV chapter within market risk book there as well. Plus, in operational risk as well, you will study about Basel norms, right? So there it will speak about all the ratios that you need to maintain, right? Plus the approaches followed. So these are covered there, right? Then in terms of valuation adjustments, these are also covered in credit risk book. So credit risk book, you could say, can be split into two books. One which speaks purely about your traditional, like credit risk, which is a unilateral risk, right? Because only banks are not assumed that banks are assumed to be default free. They are assumed that they cannot default, only the borrower can default. That's unilateral risk. Then second is a counterparty credit risk, where any counterparty, both of them can default. So there is a series of 9 to 10 chapters which are covered in book credit risk book, which focuses completely on counterparty credit risk, where you would see all these valuation adjustments, exposures, like expected exposure, expected positive, negative exposure, potential future exposure, everything is covered, right? Again, I would like to highlight one point which I have said multiple times in the call. It is covered theoretically, right? So you will get that understanding, like, okay, this is how this is modern. Then a good idea is to take some real-time data, build model using Python, and then you will get 80% closer to how it is done in a bank.
Thanks, Pratik. That answers my question. Thanks.
Sure. By the way, Jaydeep, to be honest, I have not answered your original question. Yes, for you, moving into a core market risk role or a related counterparty credit risk role would be much easier, because you can already write a lot about your work experience in your CV. So once you have done FRM, you would get that understanding, and your CV would also get a screen. Plus, you would be able to better answer those questions in interviews.
Yeah, so my primary objective is to get into quants.
Yeah, you would be able to. You would be able to.
Either quants or model validation.
Yes. Both are possible.
Yeah.
I mean, both are very related only. No, it's just that it depends on how you want to call it. But yeah, you can easily get into that.
Yeah. I completely understand. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more doubts? I can still take. What is the time? 9:17. Okay, so it's almost like 2 hours. How many people are still there? Okay, 19 people are still there. It's good.
Yeah, Pratik, I had one doubt.
Hi,
Yeah.
Srinidhi.
Can I take a minute? Yeah, hi. Yeah,
Sure.
Pratik, I just wanted to know, like, probability statistics and linear calculus, these are like mathematics concept. As I'm from the like commerce background, so we have left like mathematics on schooling only. So is it covered from the basics, or it will be like how it will
I'll
be?
tell
Like you
you.
are brushing up the basics and then you are going to the concepts, or it will directly covered like continue?
I'll tell you. Let's see. Whatever is part of FRM curriculum that we cover from basics only, right? In that. But that being said, we would assume that some basics, right? That's why we have created this primer course, quantitative analysis primer course, which we have included actually in the planner itself, which is a self-study course, right? So let me just open it so that you can see the content. And it is very, very easy, very, very easy. And once you have done this, so regardless of your background, you will get at par at any other candidate who would be starting the core FRM syllabus, right? So for example, see mathematical foundations, we are starting from order of operations, exponents, roots, right? Linear quadratic equations, logarithmics, right? These are very basic, because sometimes it's just the fact that we studied these concepts in 8th or 9th. So now we are not just, these are not fresh in our memory, right? Then
Yeah.
exponential mathematics, right? This will cover like simple and continuously compounded returns, interest rate convention, growth rates, geometric average, right? Time value of money and discounting, right? By the way, I hope my screen is visible now. Not good.
Yeah, Pratik, I'm able to
Right.
see the screen.
Then again, these are the dispersion measures, right? Percentiles, quantiles, skewness, kurtosis, right? Then how do you describe data types, nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio? By the way, all of it is very helpful in especially in credit risk as well, because whenever you are building any credit risk model, you do all of this data analysis, right? So probability theory, the basics of it, random variables, estimation and sampling, law of large numbers. So you will get, this will all get revised. You will be able to revise it very quickly, right? You can see these lessons are covered within just 5 to 6 minutes. Some of these are very short lessons, but still they capture the essence of those concepts from a basics perspective.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And Pratik, I had like one more question. Like I was focusing on quantitative analyst, moreover like kind of job, and I even hear like Sudhanshu sir's class as well. Like I was like learning from IIQF. So while his classes, I listened. He was referring for FRM, where we'll get in-depth knowledge about those things. So I just wanted to know, if I want to get into a quant job, as I'm working now in a investment banking side, so like operations, one and both the parts are like after completing the first part, I can get a job in quant or risk kind of
How many
roles.
years of experience do you have, Srinidhi?
I have around 3 years of experience
3 years.
in
Okay, cool.
back office operations.
Let's see. This is not like I would say this is all just probability game, right? So obviously, like
Yeah.
your probability after FRM1, for example, if your probability after secure, I mean, probability of getting a, let's say, core quant, it would be very difficult. Like market risk or counterparty credit risk would be very difficult because they are very less in number, and they generally prefer tier 1 for campus hiring. And even if they do lateral, they would prefer person with a some background, like some related work experience. So like you have to make your way through credit risk analytics or such roles, right? Which is also good. I'm not saying they're not good. They're also good. They're slightly less quantitative in nature, and which would be ideal for you because initially it would not be a nice idea to jump right into core of quants, right? So
Sudhanshu.
right. So to go for those models, I would say when you have cleared FRM1, so let's say if your probability is 30 to 40% of securing those roles. So after clearing FRM2, that will go up to 60 to 80. Right? And I am assuming that you complement FRM with the related skills that I have told you, like, just mathematics, programming, some regulatory frameworks, right? So you complement these with those skills.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. Do we have more questions? Anyone planning to come out of their shy area or something?
Sir, I just checked the email. Can you please share the study planner for part 2?
For part 2. For
Yes.
part two. Okay, you're waiting for part 2.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So for part 2, we have self-paced program. We have recorded lectures. Apart from it, everything else remains same in terms of offerings. Like we will provide you prerequisite as well, item for finance as well. We have prepared a study planner as well. So can you drop me a message? I have shared my WhatsApp number. Just drop me a message at that number. I will share the planner with you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Hi, anyone. If anyone else is there, now is the time. Don't hesitate.
Pratik, one more doubt. Can I ask you one? I don't know whether we can say that. So last time, no, last window is on May, March. When was the last exam FRM? After November?
After November, you will go to next May 2027.
Okay, okay, fine. No. Last time it just happened. Recently happened is on November only, no?
No. Yeah. So we are in April now. So the 3 windows are May, August, and November.
Okay, can I ask you directly that what was the success rate of last November?
Yeah. So November, May, since we started last year only, right? So most of our students in November, we assessed them, right? And since they were working professionals, right, so they were not ready for the exam, right? And we asked them to take the test, right? And we thought it is not a good idea at that point of time for them to give this exam. They would end up wasting their money. So we requested them that postpone their exam for me, right? So most of our learners, they're going to give an exam in this May, most few of them in May, and then a lot of them in August, right? And that is a practice, by the way, we follow for all of our batches. We found this approach to be missing in most of the learning platforms, that once they have enrolled, professionals also get busy with their schedule and everything, and then they don't keep a track of the deadlines, whether it is about, like, what is the early bird registration, standard registration, or there is a deferral option as well, both free and paid. So what are those deadlines, right? And then they go directly into exams, don't get the desired results, fail by just margins and all, right? So we keep reminding candidates about their preparation status, about the deadlines, and if we realize that this window seems improbable, it seems a bit too ambitious, so it's better to move to next window. Okay. And that is why one more thing we learned from November is we extended the you could say planner duration. Now we give more time to each books. For example, QA primer was not there in our November batch.
Okay.
Okay. One more thing I would like to add is test series is something which a lot of people have subscribed from us. For test series, our success ratio is 80% plus, right? And 100% plus for people who have attempted all tests and scored 70 plus. There is not even a single person who has attempted all tests, scored 70 plus in all the tests, and not cleared the exam. Right. Okay, do we have more questions coming? Okay, we have 14 participants here. Anyone else having any other questions? If not, I think we should just call it a good evening, right? If you have any questions for me, just WhatsApp me after this.
Sorry, Pratik, just one last question. So, when we are going to study all the financial products, are we going to focus on the evaluations, like how to derive the PVs and everything, or it just like
Yes, yes.
we are going
So
to?
see, a book, it is covered in both book 3 and book 4, right? So, for example, valuation of bonds, corporate bonds, is something which mostly we are going to cover within book 3 itself. Duration and convexity and all are covered in book 4. Their sensitivity
How
measures.
it is going to be paced? Like you will build on Excel the entire valuation. That
No,
let's say if I take
no.
an example of an interest rate swaps, you have both
Yeah.
fixed and floating rate. So potentially you'll take an example, you'll solve the query. That's how it is going to be, or with the help of an Excel that we will build the cash flows, then we will discount them, and this is the
No, I mean,
value.
I'll tell you. See, there is a very specific reason that I intentionally wanted to not do it, because
Okay.
the idea is very simple. For professionals, time is of essence, right? So for us, it is very essential to realize that for like there are 62 chapters, right? If I start to give Excel implementation as well, each chapter will take more than 10 hours with so many follow-up doubts and
Not
everything.
a generic thing like how it is going to pace. Like I'm just taking example. Like I understand time is the essence over here. I respect that. So I just wanted to take an like overview how it is going to be. Like it is
Okay.
Excel working will not be like that. It will be like you're solving a normal questions based on the exam orientation.
Exactly. We will keep it exam oriented, right? That okay, these are the sessions which are exam aligned, right? Then for practical implementation, I'm going to tell you that what in industry you have done the FRM, like okay, concepts, you have solved numericals using simple formulas, simple values, but that's not how you do in industry. In industry, you will have real time data, right? So for that, I will first give you Python for Finance basics course that, okay, you need to have this understanding of these basics. And then I will show you actual codes and data and everything, that this is how it is done. For example, for VAR, options pricing, Greeks calculation, implied vol calibration, we have already built these models, right? Maybe I can show you one more thing that we are
Because what
still.
I can understand from all the conversation, people are facing a lot of practical difficulties in their work life. So that's what they are trying to get through this exam. I mean, through this coaching.
Yeah, no, I can understand here, and that's why we're professional first
Yeah.
only. And see, when we are starting out now, we want to be very ambitious and want to cover everything, right? But when you start to go through FRM curriculum, you will realize that there are so many intricate details that to complete them, because you also have to ensure that you clear the exam in the end, right? Because you're paying a lot of money, you're investing a lot of time, so you don't want to go too deep into something from where it is taking a lot of your time. I can show you something, but that we are trying to build to make understanding more clear. So let's take this example, right? So this is for a binomial tree method, right? So this is a simulator that our team has built, and these are the actual similar simulators that you would see in any bank or any software where you would be working on. It would look similar to this. Of course, they would have some parameters on top of it, right, and some more inputs. But we are trying to create these for all the quantitative models, right? So for example, if you would look at option Greeks, so these would look like this, and you can experiment with these parameters. Anyone can experiment with these parameters. So when you are studying from a book, it is just a value that you cannot change, right? But when you are going to the simulator, you can actually see this. So if the book says that increasing that the that the let's say impact of stock price on a certain Greek is this, or the impact of strike price is this, you can change that to actually see that behavior. If it says that the stock price option price increases with volatility, so you can increase the volatility and see the impact, right? Here these are Greeks, so the impact is not visible, but I hope you are trying to understand, and you can also toggle between option types and all. So these are few things that we are trying to include to make the learning more engaging and more meaningful.
Fine. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Right. Thought is almost right. Okay. I think it was last question. Do we have any more questions? Okay, no. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar. I know this took a lot more than just 45 minutes, but I hope it was useful for you. You learned a thing or two in this. And after this, you can reach out to me if you are interested in joining the November batch. Of course, we have limited seats, and 30 plus people have already registered for it. And from Monday, if you have seen the planner, the recorded lectures already actually kicks off as per the plan, and we will obviously add you to the all the WhatsApp groups and provide you access to all the resources so that you can start your preparation. If you have any doubts, you can ask in those groups, or you can DM me personally, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for joining the session. Have a great day.